This conversation with Big O today was very interesting to say the least. What is up, Finn fans? Another episode of me and Big O dissecting and talking about the previous week's games. And I was at this one, so it was fun to talk about. And again, just want to reiterate to you guys, I read all your comments below. And I interact with all of you guys. So I don't know if Big O reads the comments. So in this episode, I actually, a lot of things you guys tell me, hey, you should say this to Big O, or hey, ask him this, or hey, that, or that. Today I actually did. I was like, we started talking about Brian Flores a little bit. I know some of you guys don't like the fact that Big O wants to move on from him, so I asked him to elaborate more. It's going to be a good conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. But before we jump into this real quick, schedule is going to change a little bit this week. Thursday being Thanksgiving, if you guys have been rocking with me from the beginning, or even if not, if you've been rocking with me all season last year, I do special holiday videos. So I do a Thanksgiving one, kind of tell you what I'm thankful for when it comes to the Dolphins and this season. I do a Christmas one. I do a wish list of what the Dolphins are asking Santa for and all that stuff. So Thursday is going to be a Thanksgiving themed video for you guys. So I'm going to do the picks video Wednesday. So Wednesday, you're getting two videos. You're going to get the film breakdown and you're going to get the picks video. Probably picks later on in the day, film breakdown first and foremost, because you guys really want to watch the film breakdown. Also, if you guys didn't know, go check out the community tab. I asked you guys in the community tab, what would you like me to see breakdown in the film breakdown and all that jazz. And then Friday is the preview for the Panthers game. I'm going to see if I can get... I think I know a Panthers YouTuber that I can probably get to come on and collab with me for that. It should be interesting. But yeah, other than that, guys, let's jump into what me and Big O were talking about. It's a good conversation. Really good conversation. 3 wins in a row, Big O.
Life is good. Life is good. It's like a crypto gem climbing right now, which is a beautiful thing, brother. We're on a parabolic rise like crypto.com. That's all over the place.
Speaking of crypto, real quick, I got to get your thoughts on this. The change of the Staples Center's name.
Yeah.
Do you like the change?
I love it. Well, that's the crypto service I use the most is crypto.com. I love it. I think they do a great job. I always, not that I'm a financial advisor, I always say, but that is the place that I would use my favorite currency. So yes, I think they do a great job, and that's going to be, a boost for them. And I don't know if you saw this now, and this is great for Dolphin fans to remember this. Polygon, which by the way, I think is one of the greatest values right now in crypto before it goes parabolic. But anyway, Polygon has teamed up with the NFL and they're creating ticket NFTs. So I don't know if you've talked about this on your shows because you do so many. I haven't watched all of them, but this is something where now, you know how you have electronic tickets now and you don't really have regular tickets anymore. So you want to have a memory of this game. Let's say you went from Detroit or California or Florida out to New York on Sunday for the Met takeover.
Yeah.
And you went and everything went well and you won a ticket of that game. Well, now the NFL and Polygon have teamed up where they make an NFT of your ticket for the game, your seat, everything, all that. And now you have that ticket with you and it becomes an NFT, which you don't know down the line if it becomes valuable, but it's a way of, this is the future of how you're going to store these kind of memories instead of a paper that's going to crumble up or get ripped or whatever, or in a fire or whatever. In the blockchain, it lives forever. And there's only one of them because it's your ticket. So it's a nice way to commemorate a special moment for fans. So if there's that, you got that option now to make your ticket an NFT. Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Looking at this game, defense kind of struggled a little bit in this game. Would you equate this to kind of like the Texans game? It was a little bit better, But it wasn't the Ravens game, right? Like you didn't have that same feeling.
It's it's a road game.
Yeah.
So that was very important that we also have to, it's a divisional game, dude. So it's kind of like you throw everything. I know I hate the cliches, but it's so freaking true that when you have divisional games, it's just, there's something about divisional games that you can't predict. Look, we have been in this long enough. We have seen when the Dolphins are really good and the Jets suck. And we're like, yeah, they're going to trash them. And they go in there and they either lose the game or the Jets play the game of their lives and, whatever, or vice versa. The very few times that the Jets have been good and whatever the Dolphins surprise them, you know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of that inside, this mix of all of this because it's divisional. So I have to give that in there. And then, there were moments where obviously you got to give them credit that they got the defense and they got the best of them. And, Joe Flacco is a veteran and he's a passer. Okay. He may not be a very good passer anymore. He's 36 years old, but what he has and Tyrod Taylor doesn't and Lamar Jackson doesn't is he's had to make a living from the pocket.
Yeah.
He doesn't have an option. There are no legs. He is the Statue of Liberty at the moment. Okay. I mean, there is rumors that they're going to make Joe the Statue of Liberty and get rid of the original. So I'm not sure if that's when it's going to happen, but there's a race between the two and the statue might even win the race. So they want something a little more stiff out there in the middle of the water. So they made it put Flacco. So my point
or Jacoby Brissett, they could take Jacoby and put him out.
Yes, they can get Jabroni Brisket and put him out there. Yeah, please. That'll be an improvement. Hold the torch, not a football. That would be fantastic. Anyway, so I think the problem is here that what's it called? I just think there is a mix of all of this. Then Flacco, he was able to make a couple of plays.
Yeah.
Because he's made a living from that. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. You go and blitz Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or any of the great quarterbacks the way you did Lamar, you lose by 40 points.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that's what Marino is like. Yeah, come on, bro. Come on, bring it. Jim Kelly, Joe Montana, every great quarterback, you can't blitz.
No.
You blitz them, you're screwed. Because they know exactly what hole you're leaving open right away. They can see they in pre-snap, they already know who's rushing. They already know they're already going to beat you to it. So they know already, okay, it looks like it's this guy. If it's this guy, I know where I'm going. If it's this guy, I know where I'm going. Because they know your defense already. They know your limitations. They know where you excel. And so Flacco made a couple of plays. And you have to give him credit because he's a real quarterback. Maybe not be a good one, folks. I'm not saying he's a good one, but I'm just saying at the moment, Tyrod Taylor's never been a quarterback.
No.
Lamar Jackson's never been a quarterback. These are athletes that play the quarterback position, but they are not pure passers. Pure passers can stay in the pocket and beat you. Even while you're hitting them and beating on them and all that, they're going to get their shots at you. Why? Because they can make a living from the pocket. Lamar Jackson will never make a living from the pocket ever. So those are the things that I attribute it to. And then the North Carolina kid, which,
Carter,
we could have had one or the other, whatever. And the North Carolina kid's pretty good too. We got to give him some credit. He's been a good receiver out of the backfield. He's been a good runner overall. So I give them credit that they had a couple of things. Hey, listen, folks, I know that we're getting ahead of ourselves. Oh, we're going to run the table and this and that. But Sunday was a refresher.
Yeah.
The Dolphins aren't that good. They're going to struggle even against bad teams to win games. Let's just be grateful that they won the game, that they found ways to play, to win, that Tua played a really good game. I don't care what anybody tells me, that 50-yard pass was absolutely awesome. You know what I mean? So to me, that's the way I'm going to look at it. I'm not going to get ahead of myself and think about them running the entire table. That's a lot to do right now.
Yeah.
Let's just hope they can, again, attack a limited passer this week again in Cam Newton. Keep him in check like you did Lamar, right? Don't let him, truck you and kind of control what you need to do. You got another one of those guys. So 3 out of the last 4 weeks, the defense will be facing a guy that is not a great passer. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw that with their one touchdown. We sent that zero blitz at him. Flacco stayed in there, waited, and he threw the pass perfectly that it was just out of the reach of Byron Jones. Because Byron tried to dive and smack it down.
Right.
But he threw it right where, if that's Lamar, if that's Tyrod, heck, even if that's Cam, Byron might have got his hand on it, or it might have went in the dirt because of the pressure.
Yeah, it would have been an incomplete. It would have been a pass awry or intercepted. Of course, those guys don't have.
Yeah,
I mean, once in a while, the athlete will drop in the perfect pass because they are an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, go back to the days when you were at the park, okay? And you're playing, and there's 7, 8, 9, 10 guys, and you're trying to get a 4-on-4, 5-on-5, 6-on-6, whatever, depending on how many guys you had at the park, right? Usually there was only one dude that can pass the ball, right? And then if you needed 2 quarterbacks for each side, right? Usually you wanted to be on the side with the guy that could pass the best because you knew that was your best chance to actually win, right? But there was always also a guy in your group that was kind of an athlete that could throw the ball, not necessarily have the touch, the accuracy, the ball placement, all those kind of things. You know what I mean? Because I've always said this about accuracy and ball placement. Either you have it or you don't. All these athletes, they can try to, create it and all that, but the Josh Allens of the world are still going to have their erratic moments. The Lamar Jacksons are going to have the erratic moments.
Yeah.
The Ryan Tannehills without a Derrick Henry are going to have 4 interceptions and the erratic moments. You know what I mean? But the pinpoint passers, no. They rarely have mistakes.
Yeah.
Because they're usually more on target, or they know how to guide it away where if you don't catch it, no one else catches it. That kind of stuff. Those are the accurate passers. The ones that give you the receiver the chance to get the ball, or more often than not, it's going to fall incomplete because of where they put it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These kind of guys can't do that kind of stuff on a consistent basis. And that's the difference between what I call a quarterback, a passer, a pure passer, and an athlete playing the quarterback position. That's the difference. And in the park, you had that guy that could throw it, but he really wasn't that accurate. So you used him more as a running back and a receiver and all of that. Usually the other guy that was accurate didn't necessarily have a gun, but he had the accuracy, that kind of stuff. And that's the difference sometimes. That's the way I see the quarterback position a lot of times.
We saw that with Aaron Rodgers yesterday. He loses his left tackle, and he still throws for 300 and something yards, keeps him in the game with the Vikings, and he still had to get a ton of pressure on him that whole game.
Right,
so
right.
It's a prime example. Look, I real quick want to look at the running back game of the Miami Dolphins, right? Myles Gaskin, most of the carries. He did decent. He had like 4 something.
Dude, every time he popped a little long run, 7, 8, a 10-yarder, I'm like, whoa, wow, hey, all right, yeah. So I was happy with the running game yesterday. I mean, I know,
something I noticed while I was at the game is Duke Johnson. I don't know if you noticed this, but he got a few carries. He didn't get many. It was Myles Gaskin's game. But when Duke Johnson got that ball, he wasn't dancing. At the game, I'm watching. I'm like, Duke Johnson's in. Let's see if because I thought they were just going to throw it to him, get him out in space.
Right, because that's what he is. That's what he is.
When they handed him that ball, he was fast, and he was like, he would just put his head in the defender's chest and kind of drive him.
Yeah, he was deliberate. Yeah.
I think Duke Johnson should get some more carries because, my God.
But the problem is that just, the first time, just a couple carries? It's never been him his entire career. He's just never ended up translating to the successful running back. He's always been the successful pass catcher. So it's too small of a sample size for me to say, oh, Duke figured it out and he's going to be a better running back. And so I will say, all right, let's see, as this continues here, let's see how it develops and see if he can actually help out in the running game, because I kind of never really viewed him that way. And hey, listen, obviously Salvon Ahmed must not be doing enough to impress them to say, well, And I know I heard the coach say today, that Duke has played in a bunch of games and all that kind of stuff. And there's a tendency for him at times to want the experience on the roster.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's weird because you scared away a lot of the veterans, and now you're like kind of gravitating to some of the veterans, and that's kind of odd.
Do you think, building off of what you just said, do you think because a lot of people are getting on, especially this show. I don't know if you read any of the comments from last week, but a lot of people are getting upset with like already wanting to move on from Brian Flores, all that stuff. Do you think he's starting to learn from his mistakes, maybe, and also like you said, now starting to lean on the veterans a little bit? Do you think he's learning, and do you think as the season goes on, he might realize what he messed up on and do better, and then all of a sudden next year potentially do better?
Here's my problem with Brian Flores. It's not so much on the coaching. You can learn to do those things. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I'm talking more about his one-on-one relationships and how it seems like he's alienated people. And then here's the other thing, and here's the most important thing that I've talked about, and it's kind of something I've talked about for the last couple of days. If you're the CEO of a company, you have managers, you have salespeople, you have employees. And when you have really good employees, you're going to lose them to other promotions, other businesses, they move on. You have to have the eye to be able to replace those people with more good people that are just as good as the people you just lost, or people that are even better, or at least are maybe a little younger, but the potential is there that they can become just as good or better.
Yeah.
Because you have to have the eye to do something like that. You run a restaurant and you have 3 chefs for 3 different shifts, and they are your chefs. Okay. You lose one of them, you will lose the quality of the food that's being cooked during that shift.
Yeah.
Well, if you lose that chef, you need to go find a chef that is just as good, so your restaurant does not miss a beat. Because if the quality goes down, your restaurant goes to crap, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This goes with any walk of life. Brian Flores has miserably failed at building a coaching staff.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can't be a CEO. You can't be a general manager. You can't be a head coach. You can't be a principal. You can't be anything that leads in life if you cannot replace your best employees on a consistent basis to keep the wheels turning. And for 3 years, we have seen 7 different changes at offensive line and offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Brian Flores cannot build an offensive staff. The Dolphins still cannot block. They still run a remedial offense. They still are a joke offensively, and yet Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, and even Tua and Matt Collins are overcoming this garbage that's around them, okay? But if you can't build a staff, you can't be a head coach in the NFL. Joe Philbin could not build a staff, okay? That was a problem for him. This is a problem because he was stuck in one place his entire career, and he never floated around. Joe Philbin was stuck in one place his entire career, and he never floated around. For those of you that think it's a bad thing that a guy gets fired and hired and fired and hired and fired and hired and fired and hired, you're wrong. Because when you're fired and hired and fired and hired, you're meeting new coaches, new systems, new cities, new everything. Your Rolodex grows, and you get to learn how this strength guy does it, and how that strength guy does it, and how this staff does this, and how this offensive staff, and how this DB coach did this, and how that DB. And even though you might be a special teams guy, you're John Harbaugh, you're still looking at everything changing. How many coaches has John Harbaugh lost? How many? And yet the Baltimore Ravens are the Baltimore Ravens year in and year out. Mike Tomlin loses coaches, and the Steelers are year in and year out. Hey, listen, this isn't about your little emotions out there. So I didn't see the posts. I don't know how many of you are butthurt and all that. The facts are Brian Flores can't build a staff. And there's no proof that he's going to get it right in year 4. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and ruin your quarterback. And that's what pisses me off more than anything else. This is the coach that said, I will put a rookie offensive line coach with the three amigos at offense so they can argue for 40 seconds to get a play in for Tua. These are the guys that he counted on all year long, and he thought that that system was going to work out when it all said and done. His quarterback ends up with a finger injury, ends up with a busted ass ribs. This offense looks like trash. So Brian Flores does deserve to get fired because he cannot do what a leader does. I don't care if you're the general of an army, you better replace your lieutenants. It doesn't matter what walk of life we're talking about. A leader has to be able to identify the people around them to maintain everything that they're doing. He can't even get to the point to maintain because everything's been below standard. And when he had one offensive coordinator that gave him the kind of points since the Marino era, he scared him off. Okay? So Brian Flores at this point deserves to get fired at the end of the year because he cannot put a staff together. Period. End of story. Shula lost guys all the time. You know, the beauty of being, it's not great to be 55. It's depressing to walk into IHOP and say, oh my God, I'm now in the old man's menu. Okay? It's not a lot of fun. But 55 gives you perspective. And 55 puts you through all these scenarios over life. And I watched the God. I watched Don Shula, and he had all kinds of coaches throughout his career. And at times he had bad ones that we had to like, hey, yo, you've been alabadating us too long. So we had our ups and downs with Shula even. But throughout, he had a lot of good coaches, you know? And a great example is Mel Phillips and Westhoff were two guys that towards the end of his run then joined on with other coaches and all that, because Mel Phillips would survive multiple coaches because he was awesome until he got to, you know, Wanstead, and he had an opinion and Wanstead couldn't handle his opinion. But, you know, that's another story for another day.
And I could see where you're coming from, especially in the aspect of playing for different coaches or hell, even head coaching at other places. Because look at Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll was with the Miami Dolphins, and then he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, where he sucked. Now, all of a sudden, he's a top candidate to become a new head coach with the Buffalo Bills. So it's experience. And I totally see where you're coming from. You know, I think a lot of what is bothering people is, I guess, the 10-6. Like it seems like you're ignoring the 10-6.
We were 10-6 with Adam Gase. We were 11-5 with Tony Sperano. Would you like me to lift the needle from the broken record finally?
People need to realize that Big O, you tell it like it is, and it is.
We were 11-5 twice with Wanstead, and 10-6 another year, baby. I mean, give me a break. How did that work out for you? That's not what you lean on. The sun shines on every dog's ass every once in a while. You know what I mean? But you have to show me consistency, dude.
Yes.
You have, and one thing he has not shown me, even when Greer gave him Gailey, okay, he still didn't have the offensive line coach right.
No.
And that's Greer giving him Gailey. You know, Greer gave him Fitz. He went and got Brissett. Okay.
He actually mid-season last year brings in Dave DouglieDoWrong, brings in one of the top offensive line coaches, and at the end of the year, Dave's like, nah,
relationships, dude.
And it's not even like they fired Dave.
When the OC tells you, hey, Tua's not ready yet. No, I want to start him. Not only do I want to start him, no, I want to start him against the Rams.
Do you think, and I've heard this before.
Come on, man.
Do you think that was owner call throwing Tua in there, or do you think that was head coach?
I think the head coach doesn't like Tua, dude. I'm convinced he has crapped on him like Josh Rosen. He's Rosened his ass. That was a new term. He Rosened him. Okay? Yeah. It's like being in the dentist office to pull praise from that guy for Tua, dude. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I swear to God. It's more painful watching him having to say something positive about Tua than me being at the doctor without Novocaine or anything you want that needs, I don't know what the hell they do to numb me anymore nowadays. But seriously, that's less pain if he just pulls out my tooth than watching a Flo that he barely, seriously, dude, it's hard for him to praise his quarterback when he doesn't understand there's no competition, dude.
Yeah.
This is your quarterback. You don't screw around with the franchise. You don't pull him back and forth. You don't do any of that. You praise, you support, you give him everything. You defend him to kingdom come. I don't see that. And that's my problem. His lack of relationships with people. And when we can go back to the Kenny Still stuff, that we look at perspective, playing back the Jay-Z is childish on his part. You think Shula would do that?
No.
Think Jimmy Johnson will worry about that kind of crap? You think Pete Carroll's going to worry about that? I don't even think Mike Tomlin would do anything like that. Not even young coaches, not Sean McVay, not, I don't know, give me any of the other young coaches in the league like Tomlin. Well, actually, Tomlin's not that young anymore, but McVay or whatever. I don't even think
Packers
they would
coach,
like
all
that.
those guys.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that, man. That's my point. And all this kind of stuff. And then you bring in your New England guys, and then you shuttle them back out again right away. He has relationship issues. He has communication issues, and he has a little too much Belichick in him when he's not Belichick.
Yeah.
And this is the same disease that Patricia had and the same disease that Josh McDaniels had. And so you had some success, and then it got to your head. And it's funny how you tell the players to go week by week, but you're the one that's like, yeah, I don't need you, and I don't need you, and I don't need you. And yeah, dude, you needed Kyle Van Noy, and you needed Bobby McCain at the beginning of the year to transition for your young safeties.
Yeah.
And yes, you needed your center. And yes, you needed your Chan Gailey. You should have listened to him. You're the head coach of the team and the quarterback of the defense, right? You hired this guy because he forgot more offense than you ever did. But because you had a year or two as some assistant in offense in New England, you all of a sudden are Mr. Offense. And so there you, anybody that starts a kid off hip surgery, no off season against the Rams. Come on, man. Come on. Seriously. And it was like 2 weeks before that. Wasn't there like a bye week and then a crappy team? And we thought, okay, do it in that week where you have the bye week and the crappy team. I forgot what it was. I forgot what crappy team it was, but that was kind of, because that's what normal coaches do. Hey, it's a week off. All right, now let's get the kid in installs. Let's get him all the reps on the week. And then the next week it's game week and we'll get everything in there. He'll have 2 weeks to prepare for that opponent. We'll help him all this. No, dude, this is not the way he does it. And so whether you want to admit it or not, the writing is right there on the wall for you. It's been shown to you for 3 years now, and you have to understand what's going on. And we're watching grown ass men that are coaches that are walking away going, I'm done with this. And then you're watching the players, and you're watching some of his own former players and all of that. And there's a common denominator through all of this, dude. And if you look at his relationship with Tua, it's not a good relationship.
Yeah, no.
And it's disturbing to watch. And I don't like it. I'm sorry. And at this point, believe it or not, I'm sorry. But to me, as a Dolphins fan, Tua is more valuable to me as a Dolphins fan than Brian Flores is right now.
And it seems like that's the way the team is taking it as well, because, we saw and we talked about the whole drama that happened. Positive note, Tua Tagovailoa's play yesterday.
Love it.
He threw that dumb interception, and it seemed like he was trying to force the ball to Waddle.
You're in a bad offense. You're under duress all the time.
Yeah.
You're young. You're gonna force the issue, bro. And he has a tendency of doing that. That's how he's gotten injured. That's how he's made mistakes. Every time. Saban talked about it, where he has that moment where he hangs on a little too long, where he forces the issue a little too much sometimes. And that one got away from him, it looks like, that throw, because he was open. It wasn't like it wasn't an unopened guy. It wasn't like he was covered by 2 or 3 guys. And my God, why were you even making that throw? That kind of deal. But hey, man, things happen. I can live with young players making mistakes. That's why they're young players. Jalen Phillips has gotten better. He
Oh
had a
yeah,
boneheaded mistake.
he got his sack, but yeah, like it looked like it sailed on him, and then it was just so happened that the Jet player was right behind him, because if he wasn't, incomplete, no harm, no foul. But then he makes up for it with these out route passes to Waddle, with the touchdown pass to Mac Hollins, which he was people under, Mac Hollins was blown coverage. We understand that, but people mistake that. They don't watch Tua. He had to evade the pressure.
Yeah, that's a scramble
left.
Yeah.
And people think he put his whole body into it. He couldn't have put his whole body into it.
No, he couldn't watch it.
Him.
Right. Yeah.
It was 50 yards in the air.
He comes out of that pack and he has to then throw it quickly because he's got pressure.
Yep.
So, and he knows he only has a split second that he's open. So it's not a timed out play where you're supposed to hit him in stride and all that kind of stuff. Like when a couple weeks back when he hit Gesicki down the right sideline and he dropped it right in his basket, because he can do that left and right all the time, dude. I mean, he's got great accuracy. But on that play, remember, he still has a fractured middle finger. He's not really completely set. He wasn't squared. He's kind of wide. Okay. And I love people. Well, other guys could throw it 70 yards. Well, okay, fine, dude, but he threw it 50. And all these 70-yard touchdowns, the ball's only in the air 20, 30 yards.
Yeah.
And then the receiver takes the next 30 yards to make it 70 yards, folks. Okay, that's kind of the way things work in the league. Very few times the ball's actually in the air, even 50 yards. That's a rarity that the ball is in the air 50 yards, unless you're I guess Van Dyke with the Canes, because somehow or another that dude's dropping bombs. Like the field's only 100 yards. I swear he was standing outside of the stadium a couple of times when he threw it. He was like, "Watch this," and he ran right outside the stadium. It's just like amazing. But anyway, more often than not, the passes aren't. It's just so ridiculous. People they're so enamored with the big arm, and I'll give you Jamarcus Russell and I'll give you Jeff George all you want, my brother. I'll take Drew Brees and Joe Montana, who did not have strong arms, who weren't big guys, and they're both in the Hall of Fame with Super Bowls. So get the hell out of here with this stuff. Stop being size queens, please. Enough with the size queen. Can the guy be a quarterback? I just talked about that with Lamar. And with Tannehill and some of these kind of cats that play this position, can you be a quarterback? Read, react, ball placement, accuracy, timing, all of these things. That's what makes a great quarterback. The guy that can anticipate the rush, that can anticipate the break, that can throw the ball at the spot before the receiver's actually going to get there. In fact, Tua did that a couple of weeks ago on an anticipatory throw that he threw to the Jalen Waddle one. That was an anticipatory throw because he threw it before he even broke downfield, so he knew where Waddle would be. Do you have any idea what it takes to have that? That's magical when you have it. That's why when you go to the park, there's only one kid that can actually do it.
And that play specifically, where he threw that dime to Waddle, it worked out because he had time in the pocket. Because when I broke down that play, he looked over to his left at Gaskin, then he looked over to his right at Gesicki, and then finally he looked over and he saw that right before Waddle broke out to the sideline, he's like, "I'm going to have him," and he threw it. Right. Because again, Waddle was turning and the ball was already in the air. So when he turned back, boom, there was the ball. You got to give him time. And this is one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL.
Yeah.
We are already, the amount of pressure we've given up is more than some of we're almost going to double last year. And then, and also we're almost on par and more than 2019, which was filled with practice squad players. Like, it's bad. And
notice this. I want Dolphin fans to notice this. The Tua haters will not notice this. Okay. Only the people that are really objective, and they probably are not thinking about this. Only a twisted mind like myself thinks about these kind of things. Okay. Fitzpatrick for 17 years was a backup quarterback his entire life. Anytime he came into a situation, it was a chaotic situation. Team was down. Team lost their quarterback. Team benched their quarterback. It's a terrible team. So he played behind terrible lines and bad situations all throughout his life. So when he got here, he can adjust to the chaotic sense of what was going on here because that's what he's played in his whole life.
Yeah.
Tua is now approaching 16 games. Notice how he's gotten better with chaos, because it's not like this line is great, but he's also done a great job of assisting them in getting rid of the football quickly, understanding I've got to read, I've got to react, I've got to find my person quickly.
Yep.
But you cannot ask a rookie who's coming off hip surgery and had no time to play football in the offseason, was rehabbing, then all of a sudden really didn't have a real offseason, wasn't really the starter anyway. When you did go to camp, he was clearly the backup. And then all of a sudden you want him to catch the timing of the NFL and read and react everything that's gone on, like this. And then you're shocked when he struggles at times, yet he still had a winning record. He still threw more touchdowns than interceptions. And yet he coming back from a hip surgery. So he's showing you guts and toughness and smarts. And yet they slammed this kid when he had a good year. And now you watch him, and you watch him slowly but surely. He's getting better and better under the worst situations possible. Okay. Think about this. You have a coach that doesn't understand that Devontae Parker's unreliable, that Will Fuller's unreliable, that Preston in the back of the end zone, oh my God, Miami, unreliable. Albert Wilson, unreliable. And meanwhile, Mac Hollins, all he does is make plays every time you play him. And you only play him for a couple of plays. Wow, I wonder if you started Mac Hollins, Waddle, and Gesicki on every down, and you never took out Gesicki, and you added Hollins, I wonder if we would be better.
Right?
Wow, what a concept. Flo is not the guy.
And it's funny too that you talked about how Fitzpatrick, even Joe Flacco, when he left the Ravens, went to different situations where he was used to that pressure, and it was smart, incredibly smart by the Jets.
Yeah, he played in Cleveland. He played in Cleveland, played in Denver, where they have a defense, but they didn't have a really good offense at times. So yeah, those were chaotic situations. Houston, right? Wasn't Osweiler there? So yeah, those were all chaotic situations. I mean, Flacco. I mean, yeah. You're right.
Very smart on the Jets to not put Mike White in there, because he wouldn't have been able to. But it shows to exactly what you're saying. Look at Zach Wilson. Him coming into the draft, when I was looking at all this stuff and trying to put my prospects together, I said Zach Wilson had a fantastic college career, but he was behind the #1 national offensive line at Boise State. And I said, watch him come to the Jets. He's going to struggle because he's not used to exactly what you just said, the chaos of not having the national #1 offensive line in college football. And look at him.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He's struggling.
And mom doesn't help out either.
Well, we talked about that last show.
I don't know if we can go off on
another tangent.
All right, go ahead.
Let's look at next week's game. It's for people watching, it's Tuesday, but for us, it's Monday. Let's move on from the win. Look at the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey, Cam Newton, their wide receiver core is pretty good. Their defense is Looking at this game, what are you expecting? And do you expect the Dolphins can pull off a win against Cam and the Panthers?
Hell yeah, do the same thing you did to Lamar, man. Attack him with a controlled rush where you corral him and make sure that you don't allow him any running lanes. And if you're able to do that, you'll win, because Cam Newton can't pass. He's never been able to pass. He'll make a couple of passes because he's an athlete, but just do that. And you the key with that guy is you cannot allow him to run.
Yeah.
That feeds his energy, that feeds his abilities, and then he'll get the confidence, complete a pass or two and hurt you big time. You cannot allow him to use his legs. So you must punish him the way you punish Lamar and frustrate him. And you got to leave your DBs out on an island, and that's it, man. And if Cam can't read and react and figure it out, that's going to be a problem. There's a reason why the rookie in New England was actually teaching him the playbook. Okay. That's kind of embarrassing. That kind of tells you where, the IQ is when it comes to actually reading and reacting. So force him to try to beat you with his head, not with his legs. You do that, you win this game with no problem whatsoever.
Well, hopefully next week we get
Well,
together.
no, by the way, no problem whatsoever is like 7 points. I mean, it's just.
That's just the Dolphins' way right now.
Yeah. No problem whatsoever means you win. Okay, just that's all I'm saying. All right, just, no problem. Oh well, all thought that he all said 31-3. No, I did not say that. Okay.
Hey, real quick, I was close to my prediction for the Jets game. I said we would win 28-14.
Yeah, you did. That was pretty good.
If they would have just went for it on 4th and 1, I don't understand. Like, just don't. I'm tired of Brian Flores coming out and thinking he's going to consistently draw the defense off sides. Just put your big boy pants on and either go for it or punt it or kick the field.
No, in that situation, I punt. The way the defense is playing, you punt them. You try to. I agree with doing that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, the whole fake.
You're never going to get offside.
They're like they knew what was coming. You know what I mean? It's like they all know. Like, yo, do not come off the line. Let's not give them the first down. Whatever, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's one of those where I don't think remember, he is the smartest guy in the room, and I think that's been his problem, ladies and gentlemen. I really believe that that's where he has struggled with this team this year, unfortunately.
Well, Big O, another absolute great show with you. Let them know, where can they find you, and what do you got planned for this week?
Well, we're on every day at 10 a.m. Well, Thursday we'll be eating turkey and watching football, so I'll be tripping on tryptophan. So no, leave me alone. Okay, so we will be off on Thursday. We'll have a best of on, but we're on Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. We do 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Big O Radio Show. You can subscribe. Please subscribe. Please hit the like button. It's very important that you subscribe and help us climb there. Sundays we do our own pre and post game show down in South Florida at a bar that's called Sports Grill. Great bar, great wings. And that's it, man. We and it's podcasted, so you can find it iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere. Big O Radio Show, wherever you find iHeart, whatever, wherever you look for your podcast, it's all there, and we definitely would appreciate your support.
Awesome, bud. Well, I will see you next week. Hopefully 4 in a row.
Oh, for sure. 4 in a row, baby. Coming. Y'all be good out there. Much love.
I'm telling you, Big O, he knows his stuff, and he's passionate about his stuff. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But again, I want to thank Big O for agreeing to do this weekly show with me, and I think it's fun. He has different opinions that I do, him, and then you guys. So we might not all agree, but it's definitely entertaining, and it's fun to have these conversations with him. But that is the video. Like I said, tomorrow you're going to get 2 videos. Lucky you. Early Thanksgiving gift to you guys if you do celebrate Thanksgiving. So yeah. See you guys tomorrow in 2 separate videos. But like usual, guys, stay classy and fins up.